Good afternoon, everyone. We are here on the second day of the Festival of Media Asia. We're in the M&M Filming Studio, and I've taken off stage two of our key speakers for the second day, Anad Tilak from Facebook and Anita Mukherjee from Mediacom Indonesia. They've just come off stage. They've been talking about Indonesia, the wonderful world of Indonesia, if you like, and the potential that's there for brands, essentially. I mean, one figure that really kind of got me going was 50% of a 250 million populated country is under 30. I mean, I'm way out of that now, but it sounds incredible and a potential hot pot for brands. And I suppose the big question for you is, are there many brands taking advantage of this?
So you see a lot of brands taking advantage of it. You see an advent of a lot of premium brands. You see even e-commerce retailers like Zalora and Lazada. The kind of brands that they stock are extremely youth related. Brands are taking on digitally, becoming extremely savvy because that's the requirement of the market. And even retailers are kind of stocking stuff which is new, which they're kind of like changing their stock cycle. So it's not like things are not going to be on shelf they're going to be on shelf for a limited point of time. They are not going to be on shelf for longer because the youth like change. Right. They don't like to see the same stuff. So it's actually dictating the entire way the nation runs, wow. Literally.
And that's quite interesting because over the 2 days we've talked about that consumer that's kind of racing away from everyone else. Indonesia must be the place where it's like literally trying to keep up with Usain Bolt.
Yeah. So I mean, going back to the earlier question, younger people are always harder to reach for any brand because their media habits are very different. One is they don't watch TV as much as the older demographic does, and their digital engagement is very high. So that's where brands can actually use both integrated media plan where it is linked with offline and online. That will produce far better results than depending heavily on just one medium.
Wow. And you also mentioned e-commerce, you both kind of mentioned that on stage. I mean, that's quite incredible, and particularly the trust thing. Is that more of is the trust thing a case of fraud, click fraud and things like that? And how do they combat that? Because obviously these e-commerce retailers want to...
So, trust is the biggest barrier in terms of e-commerce, in terms of the entire physical interaction of buying a product is lost when you're doing it online. And that's why the trust, that entire... it's restraining for them to kind of do shopping online, and what brands are doing are exactly that. They're breaking the trust barrier. They're saying that if you do not like the product I've shipped for you, then I will give you your money back. If I will send you the stuff that you want, take a look at it, and if you're satisfied, pay for it. And that's how they're breaking the trust barrier. It's not just trust, I mean, trust is, of course, the biggest barrier, but it's also about mindsets of people. And now we're seeing even the older generation doing a lot of e-com activity online. So yes, it is kind of changing the way Indonesia works and functions.
Absolutely. And what do you think is going to be the next big thing to come out of Indonesia in terms of a media perspective? We've seen technology develop in there. We've seen platforms take off into other regions. I mean, where do you think we're going next in terms of what will come out of there from Indonesia? And I suppose you're in a position, fourth biggest population in the world, to actually almost start leading the world in certain aspects.
I think the first biggest thing that's going to happen is content is not going to be just made for television anymore. Content is going to be made for digital media. So right now we have content which is made for television, which is getting adapted to digital. I think the first thing that's going to happen is going to reverse completely. Content will be made for digital and then adapted for television. That's the first thing. In terms of media, experiential is becoming really big. Of course, the market is a really young, buoyant market, and people are optimistic. So it's obviously experiential media, not just media that is one. It's like with television, traditional media is a monologue, right? But with experiential media, people want to really interact with the brands. They want to interact with the faces of the brand. They want to experience the brand at a given point in time, and then they want to be vocal about what they feel, what they like about the brand, what they dislike. So experiential media is going to completely take over. You're already seeing that happening in cities like Jakarta, and it's happening in Bandung, it's happening in Yogyakarta. The major cities, you're already seeing brands are launching just with experiential. Wow. The other thing that's really happening in terms of the brands that are entering the market, you see a lot of youth-related brands and categories that are the ones which are entering the market. For example, chocolates. While Indonesia has got a large heritage of local chocolate brands, you see a lot of international brands all of a sudden coming into the market, and they're spending tons of money.
Wow.
So you're seeing categories like chocolates, like food, like beverages, which are taking over the market completely.
So mobile will continue to rule the world,
Yeah.
and I think now 4G, after 4G gets launched, it'll mean that imagine you're stuck in traffic and suddenly you have a lot of time to spend. So when the bandwidth increases, people don't reduce the time that they spend on the device. They don't say that, oh, because my speed is increased, I'm going to spend only 10 minutes instead of 20 minutes. No, they will continue to spend those 20 minutes, but in that 20 minutes, they'll consume far more content, far richer content, which will be easier for to be engaging. So mobile and the new bandwidth will make a lot of impact.
I think the one more thing that's really going to happen is the fact that now it's up to the advertiser and the publishers to give content to people. I think that's also going to change. People are now going to give content to publishers and advertisers.
Wow. And Facebook obviously is like a publisher now for citizen journalism and
Yeah.
for user-generated content. And I suppose one question I had for you is, Facebook in Europe and probably the US now is not seen as a youth platform as much, but obviously in Indonesia it's
Yeah.
completely different and
Yeah.
seen as the tool for the youth.
Exactly. So I think there was youth is definitely connected. It's the only. I mean, everybody calls it your own newspaper, right?
Right.
You publish your own newspaper every day. You're feeling very happy today. You put a nice song. You put a nice status message, nice pictures. Everyone knows about it. So people use this as to express their opinion and feelings. And one of the things that we noticed in Indonesia was, this is a country where elections happened last year,
Yes.
and 2/3 of the interactions came from people who are younger than 34-year-old. And offline data suggests that the voter turnout was the highest in this election.
Wow.
So there are people trying to correlate if there is a higher involvement of the younger people, which led to higher voter turnout. Because earlier, these people probably never felt connected with elections or a social issue. But because of Facebook, they realized that, oh, these are hot topics, what matters to the country. And because of the opinions expressed, more people showed up for elections.
And also, your new prime minister
Yeah.
is a very big advocate of social media, isn't he?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
So next year, I'm going to try and get him to speak. So I need your help to
Sure.
to get him to speak, because we'd
Certainly.
love to talk about politics and media and how it kind of combines and works together, which would be marvelous. And one other thing from your presentation, which really kind of made me think quite a bit, was all about, it doesn't matter about a brand being local, it's as long as you're perceived as local. So by that we mean that any international brand going in there has to know the culture, the nuances, before it can make a success of itself.
Yeah, so, local brands are preferred in any market. I mean, if you are
Yes.
any bit nationalist, you will want to buy, local made stuff than international. But what you've seen in the market in Indonesia is that it's not so much about being local, it's so much about being perceived local. So, for example, I gave the example while I was presenting on Danone
Yes.
Biscuit. So, Danone has this biscuit, it's called Biscuit in Indonesia. And what they did was they changed the formulation a bit of the product. So they realized that Indonesians like a little more milk in their biscuit, and they like the biscuit to be a little more milky. So they actually changed the formulation of the biscuit, and it became the #1 biscuit in the country. Things like, Ramadan, like the Coca-Cola case I spoke about.
Yes.
Islam is their religion, and there's got 5 pillars, which is basically purity in thought, purity in action, etc., cleanliness. And what Coca-Cola did was Ramadan, which is the biggest festival for them, which is all about sharing joy and happiness, and Coca-Cola being about open happiness. It just came together. They exploited that, and they said, why not share joy with the less fortunate people? And that's how the whole sampling bit and everything came out. So people are using, they are adapting their products and their brands to the cultural sensitivities of the market. Another example I'd like to give you is Procter & Gamble is all about touching lives, improving lives. And every year you have a deluge in Jakarta in terms of floods, etc.
Yes.
Every January, right? It was just in one simple room. We were all sitting like this in one room and talking, and there was huge flooding in Jakarta. And somebody happened to make a loose comment saying, P&G talks about touching lives, improving lives. Why don't you do something about it right now? Because the core Islam value of tahara, which is about cleanliness,
Right.
was getting jeopardized because of the flooding, and people were getting thrown out of the streets, and it was all of that. So then P&G, all it took was P&G products, a truck, and it went to about 1,500 homes in Jakarta and distributed clean their clothes with their laundry products and distributed Ambipure to make their houses smell beautiful, etc. That's actually tapping into the cultural nuances of the country.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And thank you for that, guys. And I suppose the last question I wanted to ask you is, who have you enjoyed seeing the most so far over the 2 days? What's been your highlights and what have you thought of the event?
Go with that first.
Yeah, I liked Rohit Java from Unilever Philippines.
Yes.
And it was really clear based on insights that the idea emerged out of insight, and therefore it's much easier to sell that concept to anyone.
Yes.
And consumers will find it more interesting, saying that, wow, I never knew that dash, dash, dash.
Yeah.
I mean, his insight was human hair is as strong as, let's say, a horse's hair, which goes into making a violin.
Yes.
Unique concept, right? And
Yeah.
then that gives you this realize that, oh, wow, this is as good as that. It gives people far more confidence.
Yeah.
I think the Pepsi one was also nice, and I think whatever I didn't really sit
Oh,
in for
Zip
the whole
Dial,
yeah.
yes,
I didn't
yes.
really sit in for the presentation, but whatever I heard of the because I was busy rehearsing for
Indeed, indeed.
mine. But whatever I heard about the presentation, I thought it's a nice offering, and I'd like to know more about that.
Good, good. And is this your first time at the Festival of Media Asia?
This is my first time
Ah.
at Festival of Media Asia. I was really looking forward to going to the Rome one, though, Jeremy.
Oh, you want to come there, do you? Okay, we can. I'm sure we can sort that out for you.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can help you out.
No, but one thing, I was having an interesting conversation over lunch with somebody, and he said that, and Anand and we were discussing it as well, that today, I mean, you're talking about the fourth largest populated country in
Yes.
the world. You're talking about
We should-
stats which in Jakarta and Indonesia is number one across the globe. You should have representation from ASEAN in those forums because I think what brands and marketers the difficulty that they face is that nobody understands the potential of Indonesia till such time that it's been brought up
Been
right
done.
up front, right? And I think it's high time it took center stage.
Well, we'd love to bring you down. Let's have a chat. We can have a chat offline about that. That would be great. Wonderful.
so much.
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
much. Thank you so much.